Well, thank you for having us, first of all. I'm Sean Collins. I'm the Esports Reporter with the Dallas Morning News. I've been doing this since January of 2020. We have three great guests today to talk about esports and content creation and entertainment, and I'm really looking forward to this discussion. I want to get straight into our guests. I think for this first question, it would really work for Alexandra. Relocating to Texas, why is it advantageous for organizations? Because, Alexandra, I know you've lived in some pretty cool places before you moved to Texas. So as a content creator and as someone looking to really see a boom in the space, why Texas?
Yeah, why Texas? I've been here since December, and I can't say that I was a trailblazer because there were already a lot of Twitch streamers who were living in Austin. So I started seeing a lot of the big names pop up and figuring out that they're living in Texas. And Texas has such a better living conditions for anybody. You can get, a much more comfortable place. All around, the weather is much nicer. The internet is very good for live streaming. So a lot of people come to Austin because they get much more stable connection when they're outside streaming in real life. So it gives you a lot of variety for what you can do. That's what prompted my initial move here, on top of Austin being a really fun young city that's, one of the fastest growing cities in the US. So also a cool place if you're trying to buy a home and invest and build a life here.
Right. And I guess for the other two, what are you guys thinking in terms of why Texas works so well for what you do? I guess go in whatever order you please.
Adam, take it away, and I can follow you.
All right, sure. Look, I mean, one of the things and I just moved here to take this job, as you said, back in July of last year, moving after being in California for 20 years. And one of the things that I see here is, look, the growth rate's been fantastic, right? We're seeing an influx of just such great talent that wants to be here. So as a growing company, when I'm looking for staffing up my organization in terms of getting good people, even bringing them in from other states for different types of roles, whether it's marketing or tech development or sales, finding a lot of receptivity to people willing to relocate, come join the organization here in Dallas. Really positive. The city has a lot to offer in terms of value for people that are starting families, especially for a younger generation. And my family's out here too, and loving it. On top of that, the structure for a business in terms of a lot of the governmental policies and things really advantageous for us as we're looking to grow in terms of setting up organizational structures, in terms of work codes and policies, just really helpful for us as we're growing the business. So, add to that, just the ongoing growth that we're seeing across the entire state, whether it's here, Houston, Austin, being in a state that has a lot of, wins behind it has been really positive for us as a company.
Yeah, I think both Adam and Alexandra hit the nail on the head for a lot of different things. I'd say one of the huge benefits of Tribe being based out of Austin, super strong, passionate collegiate infrastructure and space on the side of things. There's a lot of really strong universities in, the big cities out here. And, at least for Tribe, I think within the last 6 months, we've probably made 10 to 15 full-time hires just right out of the collegiate space. And, as our industry continues to grow and develop, it's been an awesome resource for us to kind of look to scale.
Right. I guess I started doing like sports coverage as opposed to esports coverage. Like in college, I was covering basketball and football and whatnot. But I'd always been interested in getting into esports and esports coverage, and I'd seen the Dallas Morning News covering that, and I guess Texas just served it as like a way for me to get in, and the Dallas Morning News obviously as well. But, until today, I don't know if reaching that kind of career in Kansas would have been possible. And I guess Texas continues to become a hotbed for esports activity, or rather than become, it continues to grow as one. And Alexandra, you probably have options, right? You could go to Los Angeles and live there and base out of there if you want to. I know that some other streamers are based out east. So I guess what about Austin works? Is it anything about being centralized? What do you like about Austin in terms of being a content creator?
I actually do love being centralized, especially as somebody who has been traveling pretty often. I was just in New York and Vegas for content, and sometimes I go to LA. So being in the middle just saves you so much travel time. from coast to coast. And then every time I come back to Texas, I feel so nice and centered because, you know, you have a good community here, but it's a little bit less crazy than places like New York and LA. And I think that's actually a really good thing because it gives you time to come back and focus on some of the work that really needs to be done versus other cities that it just feels like that you have to be doing something over and over again. And it can actually get really exhausting as somebody who's lived in, you know, big cities for 7 years before this.
Right, and you mentioned New York, and I guess for people to really get an idea of some of the wild things that you do as a chess and variety streamer, you recently kind of hustled some people, didn't you? Right, I think you got dressed up, you know, with some makeup and to make you
funny.
look old, and hustled some people in chats. Just tell us a little bit about that experience. How'd you come up with the idea, and what worked about it?
Yeah, so this is a video we worked on together with Envy. And basically, before then, I had gone to hustle some of the chess players in the park, and we became really good friends over the course of a couple of weeks. So they could really recognize me and my sister. So we thought it would be funny if we dressed up as old ladies in disguise and we went back, you know, people they wouldn't suspect to beat them at chess. And they totally fell for it. At some point, one of the hustlers was talking to me. He's like, you know, I'm pretty popular on YouTube now since those Botez have come around. He said it straight to my face, so you could not tell who I was.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Kind of shifting gears just a little bit with esports and with content creation and this just whole industry that continues to evolve. People really want to follow the money and figure out how money works in this industry. I think Michael and Adam, you guys would be good for this. Who is investing in what and why?
Yeah, I can kind of kick that off with the Spurs. So the Spurs probably came to us about a year ago, and they were like, hey, we kind of understand that, you know, this gaming space is going to help them identify with a much younger demographic. And, you know, with the Spurs kind of owning the NBA's territory rights to the city of Austin and us being based in Austin, they were like, we really want to work with you guys. You know, we have a lot of the business acumen and experience to, you know, help, you know, guys on the business front. You guys can come in and teach us and show us, you know, how to kind of build an esports brand. So that was kind of like the onus of them really wanting to work with us. And then, you know, over the course of the last year, I think it started to click more and more. And, you know, they made a good investment into us to, you know, help us, you know, pursue a lot of our different initiatives that we're working on internally.
Sure. Yeah. Look, fundamentally, a lot of esports organizations, we are an entree point to a younger demographic for a lot of companies, and you know, it's an area that many companies, especially those in the media space, are struggling with. And it's not just media companies; it's really all brands who are used to historic and traditional ways of reaching their audience, whether that's through newspapers or magazines or otherwise. And so we have a lot of conversations with companies like that. Most recently, we received an investment from Gray Television, who's in the traditional broadcast space for a number of years, very successfully. And that I don't think that business is going away anytime soon. But trying to understand how do we reach that demographic in a different way, and recognizing that what esports organizations are is not really just a sports organization. It's very different from what a traditional sports organization is. We are lifestyle, we are content, we are a distribution platform for attracting that demographic. So we are creating content, we are talking to them on social platforms, we are creating live events, we are working with creators and influencers and teams, and creating different types of messaging. And so what we're seeing is investors coming into the space from all walks of life that are interested in trying to figure out how to communicate and talk to a different demographic than what they've been doing in the past, understanding that the ways that they've been going at it historically probably aren't going to work going forward.
I guess for any of you, the future of sports in Texas and esports in Texas with a job and career, what kinds of opportunities and new forms of esports and entertainment can you find, and how can people get involved?
And that reminds me actually about how a lot of content creators are hiring right now too. And it builds on the idea of if you're hungry, there's a lot of opportunities. I was just talking to one of my friends the other day who got his first contacts with the podcasting industry because he would listen to his favorite podcast and he'd do the timestamps for them every time, and he'd put it in the comments, and then he'd always reach out and like give them feedback. So if you're really proactive about the kind of position that you want, and you can actually reach out to people directly and you provide them with value, they'll often end up wanting to work with you more. And I did it myself as well. I actually hired my full-time executive assistant from my Twitch chat, and he's been with us for over a year and a half, and he's just been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I want to thank all three of you for joining us once again. It's Adam Rymer, is the CEO of Envy Gaming. We've got Michael Valore with Tribe Gaming. We have Alexandra Botez. She streams live on Botez Live on Twitch. And I'm Sean Collins with the Dallas Morning News. If you are interested in anything I cover the Dallas Fuel and the Dallas Empire, as well as other North Texas esports. You can find me at Sean Z. Collins on Twitter. Thank you guys once again for joining us. Michael, thank you for bringing your cat. I appreciate everyone involved. Thanks for having me moderating. This was such a fun discussion, and it was nice to meet you, Michael, and good to talk with both you and Adam and Alexandra once again. And thanks for having us.